Welcome to Hidden Horizons, a channel where history's quietest echoes are brought to life through calm narration and immersive storytelling. Here, we journey beyond familiar tales to uncover the overlooked, the mysterious, and the truly fascinating. If you enjoy these thoughtful explorations into hidden realms of the past, consider liking and subscribing to support future voyages into forgotten worlds. In this video, we begin a voyage across the world's seas, searching for island empires history forgot. You'll discover how isolated societies quietly shaped their destinies not with armies, but through patient navigation, trade, and the protection of oceanic mists. Join us as we unravel their subtle influence and hidden legacies, revealing the unique power that seclusion and the sea granted these forgotten civilizations. Chapter 1. Shrouded Shores, Forgotten Legacies. Imagine for a moment distant islands, veiled in morning mist, rising gently from endless blue. The air carries a hush, broken only by the soft rhythm of waves on ancient stone. Here, civilizations flourished far from the empires of land, shaped not by conquest or expansion, but by the embrace of seclusion and the secrets of the restless sea. These are lands where legends travelled on salty winds, and stories drifted ashore with each tide. On these quiet islands, rulers and dreamers built their societies not with the clash of swords, but with patient wisdom and the gentle pressure of time. Each cove and headland became a vault of hidden history, every harbour a silent witness to centuries of mystery and prosperity. Pause and picture narrow inlets winding into emerald forests. Villages perched above rocky shoals, sheltered from storms and invaders alike. The ocean offered both barrier and lifeline, shaping the islanders' customs, their language, and their trade. Here, power was measured not by the land you held, but by mastery of the waters that surrounded and protected you. Beneath the soft cloak of mist, these islands became worlds unto themselves. Mariners read the stars as their ancestors had done, guiding simple boats through labyrinthine channels. Rare treasures arrived from distant ports, sparking curiosity and innovation. Yet, much of daily life unfolded amid peace, with rituals honoring sea spirits and the generosity of the tides. Over generations, the islanders crafted societies that balanced independence and subtle diplomacy. Their influence, though rarely shouted across continents, moved quietly, threading through coastal trade and whispered alliances. Outsiders approached with caution, uncertain of the mists that guarded the islanders, lives and the legacies woven into every shoreline and ancient path. Listen closely. Through the morning fog, you can almost hear the cadence of ancient songs and the lilt of market bargainers bartering for salt and spice. Each transaction, a thread in the tapestry of survival and kinship. In these shrouded worlds, value was often found in silence and patience, strength, in knowing when to guard secrets and when to invite new stories ashore. These islands witnessed both solitude and subtle transformation. At times, strangers would land explorers, traders, or those lost in storms bringing tales, tools, and change. The island empires absorbed what they needed, adapting to new crafts or ideas while fiercely protecting their essence. They grew resilient, their traditions growing rich not in spite of isolation, but because of it. As our journey begins, let us look past the boundaries of familiar history and into the shadows where these empires thrived. The sea is vast, its horizon never final. In exploring the forgotten legacies of island societies, we uncover countless stories shaped by wind, water, and the hush of the unknown. Prepare to voyage further, discovering mysteries held beneath the mists. Chapter 2. Masters of Wind and Water. Across the endless blue, ancient islanders gazed beyond their shores, reading the sky and sea for guidance. The ocean's whispered secrets were written in the movement of waves, the arch of stars, and the subtle shift of the wind. What seemed a barrier to others became an intimate friend, not an obstacle, but a path to new worlds and discoveries yet unseen. These resourceful navigators learned to trust their senses and the patterns passed down through generations. They built slender outriggers and sturdy canoes, shaped to dance gracefully with the currents. Their voyages wove invisible trails across the waves, connecting distant islands long before compasses or maps. Each journey was a lesson, each return a triumph, as they mapped their world one crossing at a time. The mastery of wind and water transformed isolated specks of land into flourishing centres of culture and exchange. Islanders forged new routes, guided by starlit skies and the stirring of birds overhead. Legends of great journeys echoed through their oral traditions, stories that taught, warned, and inspired. It was in the act of voyaging that ancient seafarers both discovered and defined their place in the world. Knowing the rhythm of the tides meant survival. The ocean offered both bounty and peril, so navigators listened closely to its ever-changing moods. A sudden squall, an unfamiliar current, each held valuable lessons. Through trial and tradition, the islanders learned to predict, adapt, and thrive. Their boats became more than vessels. They were living knowledge, shaped by the memory of every journey before them. Starpath navigation was an art as much as a science. Islanders memorized the rising and setting points of constellations, aligning these celestial maps with the positions of distant islands. Patterns in cloud shapes and the colour of the sea hinted at nearby land. It was a form of seeing beyond the visible ear, trust in signs both subtle and bold, handed down from navigator to navigator. The craft of building boats was sacred. Communities gathered, carving canoes from single trees and lashing them with fibres from coconut husks. Decoration and ritual gave their vessels spirit and protection, each marking a promise to return. These canoes became extensions of the people, carrying hopes, dreams, and histories as they rode the ocean's pulse toward horizons unknown. Such mastery gave island societies great power and possibility. Goods, ideas, and languages travelled along maritime highways, woven mats, obsidian, secret songs. Over time, unique identities blossomed, yet threads of shared culture held distant islands together. Trade became the heartbeat of empires built on trust and courage, where isolation bred ingenuity, and every island was both home and stepping stone. For the navigators, the sea was never empty. Creatures that moved beneath the surface, sudden flocks of birds, even floating driftwood, spoke of distant lands and hidden dangers. Every ripple, every wind-smoothed wave was part of an ancient, ever-changing map. Understanding these signs meant freedom. The possibility to explore, settle, and connect in a world shaped more by water than by land. As great voyages unfolded, oral histories grew richer. Songs and chants recounted unforgettable storms, miraculous landfalls, and the wisdom of ancestors. This living record helped future generations remember, adapt, and continue forging new paths. When an islander gazed across the horizon, they saw not just emptiness, but echoes of stories and the promise of another journey just beyond sight. In time, these masters of wind and water left a legacy inscribed in the patterns of migration, the spread of language, and the living bonds across seas. Their voyages fused practicality with wonder, transforming the world's vastest obstacle into a network for discovery and kinship. Even today, their feats remind us that every horizon holds adventure, and, with courage, barriers can become bridges. Chapter 3. Trade winds and silent exchanges. Beyond the distant surf and green horizon, a quiet story unfolds. The island empires shaped their worlds, not with armies, but with steady hands and open hearts choosing harmony over conquest. Silk-wrapped goods changed hands at moonlit coves, carried by wind and mutual trust. Drifting across warm currents, merchants met with simple gesture as a cup of colour, rich dye here, a carved idol there. These encounters rarely left scars on the land. Instead, they became quiet rituals, honouring the earth's bounty. Islanders traded obsidian blades and delicate baskets, always watching for subtle signs in clouds and water. Exchanges brought more than goods. They sparked wonder, weaving islands into a tapestry held together by respect and far from imperial courts and mainland strife, these islanders let their sails catch the invisible highways in the sky trade winds. Canoes glided between archipelagos, amber beads and woven cloth found new purpose as gifts, not spoils. Elders recounted legends shaped by these gentle crossings, where knowledge drifted in hushed voices along starlit beaches. Here, commerce meant collaboration, and wealth was measured by the friends welcomed around a shared fire. In cool dawn light, artisans gathered silks and shell jewellery, arranging them with care atop painted mats. When distant sails approached, there was no urgency, just tranquility, as if the very air respected the peace of such exchanges. Spices, feathers, and pigments joined stories as the most cherished cargo. Every artifact held layers of meaning, guidance from ancestors, a memory of journeys past, and the hope that peace would endure long after sails vanished. As days turned to seasons, traders learned the language of tides and stars. They read shifting winds like ancient scripts, adapting and enduring as storms passed. Each voyage, each trade, was a gentle negotiation not only with neighbouring islands, but with the ocean itself. In honouring its moods, merchants found safety. The heart of their exchanges was not profit or conquest, but balanced sea-giving, taking and returning, so all might thrive together. Pottery painted with spirals travelled far, its designs echoing the shapes of waves and clouds above. Textiles dyed in secret recipes bore the marks of 10 hands, their colours shifting like sunlight in a lagoon. Even sacred objects journeyed quietly, ceremonial bowls and polished stones, linking faiths and families between distant homes. Each item crossed the islands as both an offering and a whispered invitation to friendship, humility, and the gentle wisdom of the sea. Night fell soft and warm, lanterns flickering along palm-lined docks. Here, the true riches were tales exchanged in low voice estuaries of stormy crossings, lucky finds, and peaceful bargains reached beside driftwood fires. As listeners gathered close, memory and myth blurred, preserving the lessons of every shared journey. The hush of the ocean promised that peace, not plunder, defined greatness among these island empires, their legacies woven into the fabric. In this woven world, disputes found resolution through patient dialogue and gestures of goodwill, a shared meal, a gift of fragrant resin, a song. Conflict, when it arose, faded like footprints in wet sand, washed away by a respect for common origins. Each island became a sanctuary of trust, sustained by rituals of exchange. These silent agreements bound communities with stronger cords than any fortress, inviting strangers to become kin beneath sheltering palms. Sailing home, traders looked back at receding islands, grateful for safe passage and the treasures of new kinship. The trade winds hummed a lullaby, promising more silent meetings where coastline and ocean blurred. On board, voices recounted the lessons of harmony, resourcefulness, and gentle ambition, qualities that let these distant civilizations flourish quietly, unnoticed by the empires of conquest. Their gifts carried onward, hidden in smooth pottery or the vibrant folds. In the end, the legacy of the island empires lived in each silent exchange. Their wisdom lingered in the calm between waves, in handmade offerings and patient smiles. As history's gaze drifted elsewhere, the real treasure remained, an unbroken chain of connection stretching across the sea. Through gentle trade and mindful presence, these islanders proved that greatness comes not from domination, but from the art of listening to nature, to each other, and to the world beyond the. Chapter 4. Isolation, Sanctuary, and Power. Across the restless seas, islands have long stood apart, their remoteness acting as both shield and strength. In these far-flung corners, survival and statecraft became deeply intertwined. Natural barriers of ocean and cliff preserved customs, languages, and even dynastic secrets. Tonight we journey through these sanctuaries, seeking quiet wisdom in solitude and discovering how power quietly took root. Chapter 4. We step quietly onto the shores of secluded kingdoms, where distance protected not just people but their rhythms of life. In these hidden realms, rulers trusted nature to deter invaders and outsiders. Here, mountains and turbulent channels did more than create boundaries. They became silent allies. These chapters of history ask us to ponder what strength comes from being set apart, and what is surrendered in exchange for peace. Chapter 4. There is power in choosing sanctuary. In wind-swept highlands and cloaked forests, isolated clans could nurture unique forms of rule. Stories tell of chieftains and priestesses who shaped their world carefully, drawing from traditions unbroken by outsiders' gaze. Their counsels and rituals echoed only among trusted kin. Such isolation offered a rare gift, the freedom for a people to govern by their own voice, sheltered from distant ambitions. Chapter 4. While isolation brought safety, it also bred resilience. Without caravans of merchants or armies at their gates, these societies found resourcefulness in what the land and sea provided. Generations mastered fishing, foraging, and subtle diplomacy with the mainland. Elders guarded stories of past invasions, yet taught their children that true endurance lay in adapting to tides and wind, a quiet tenacity that seldom made the chronicles of conquerors. Chapter 4. Languages blossomed in hidden coves, untouched by the rush of empire. Dialects grew distinct, songs and poetry took on local rhythms, and rituals evolved behind walls of stone or waves. These differences were more than curious oddities. They were acts of resistance and preservation. Every phrase spoken, every story passed on in secret, became a quiet testament to sovereignty, born of remoteness. History shaped. Chapter 4. Natural barriers were not just physical, they were psychological too. Fear of outsiders sometimes grew strong, reinforcing bonds of kinship and shared memory. But isolation could mean loneliness, even longing. We hear of coastal watchtowers, of secret fires lit to guide or warn those who dared approach. Within the comfort of sanctuary, rulers balanced the need for safety with the subtle wish for connection, a tension woven through every island dynasty. Chapter 4. Some found in remoteness a canvas for invention. Free from the watchful eyes of greater powers, islanders crafted governance systems suited to their unique world. Hierarchies shifted. Kinship and cooperation replaced conquest. Oaths were sworn in the language of storms and tides. These experiments, fragile and beautiful, show how humanity can flourish when allowed to dream quietly, where the arm of empire cannot easily reach, and every... Chapter 4. In time, news from beyond the horizon arrived, with the wind merchants bearing gifts, exiles seeking refuge, or explorers charting forgotten shores. The sanctuary of isolation became, at moments, a stage for cautious exchange, knowledge intertwined with tradition, changing each ever so slightly. Still, these societies held fast to the heart of their world, choosing carefully what to embrace and what to guard in the shadowed quiet of their islands. Chapter 4. Isolation shaped not only rulers, but all people within the sanctuary. Generations grew up knowing the boundaries of home as sacred. Children learned to read the winds, craft tools from driftwood, and understand silence as a language. We sense how power, in such places, does not roar but whispers as strength grown in stillness and patience, passed quietly from one generation to the next across time's uncertain tide. Chapter 4. And so, these stories of secluded islands become an invitation to reflect on our own boundaries, what we safeguard, what we allow to transform us, and how strength is sometimes found in choosing peace over expansion. As the sun sets over mist-draped hills and ancient stones, we see that the power born in sanctuary endures, silent and steadfast. The chronicles of island empires remind us that sometimes, to survive, is itself a form of greatness. Chapter 5. The Rituals of Shifting Sands. As dusk settles over the distant islands, the stone silhouettes of temples rise from the sand, whispering secrets carried by the ocean breeze. Islanders gather beneath the glowing moon, their footsteps soft on the ancient pathways. These sacred sites have held rituals for generations, each gathering weaving new memories into the fabric of their culture. Tonight, the gentle glow of lanterns at the heart of every ceremony is the connection between the islanders and their ancestors. The stone altars hold gifts from the sea, shells, driftwood, small fish, tokens from those who live in harmony with the tides. As rhythmic chants fill the night air, elders recount tales of spirits travelling across waters, guiding and protecting the community. This bond nurtures both their traditions and the deep relationship with the ocean. The shifting sands serve as both playground and sanctuary, ever-changing yet eternal. Here, children quietly gather by their parents' sides, watching elders set ceremonial fires on raised platforms. Orange flames reflect in watchful eyes, while soft sea winds carry the scent of the burning wood. Every movement is precise, rooted in belief that the smallest gestures honour ancestors and invite their blessings for the seasons to come. Underneath the full moon, the community creates patterns in the sandentiant designs believed to call forth the spirits of the land and sea. Each curved line and spiral speaks a silent prayer, hands patient and practiced. Drums echo gently, mimicking the lull of distant waves. The night is alive with a sense of purpose, as if the island itself listens to every whispered hope and promise brought forth by the devoted gathering. In these age-worn temples, stone guardians line the pathways, their faces carved by ancestors from a time lost to memory. Islanders pause to offer handfuls of salt and woven seagrass, symbols of thanks and unity. The ritual is both old and ever new, a delicate balance between honouring the past and shaping the future. As the ceremonial fires fade, a deep stillness settles, connecting every islander to generations before them. On such nights, the elders perform the ritual of stories, voices gentle, sharing myths of how the islands rose from the depths and were shaped by gods of wind and water. Children huddle close, warm from the fire, wide-eyed as every tale brings their world alive with shimmering possibility. Each legend strengthens the invisible threads holding the community together, reminding everyone of the mysteries hidden beneath the waves. Ancient songs drift through the hush of midnight, their melodies echoing across the shoreline. Even the movement of tides seems to answer, as if listening and responding to voices old as the stones themselves. The islanders sing not just for their own ears, but for spirits believed to wander between the worlds of earth, ocean and sky. Their harmony brings serenity, weaving every soul into the island's sacred rhythms. As dawn edges the horizon, the temples grow quiet. Those who gathered depart with silent steps, careful not to disturb the lingering magic. Shell necklaces and woven charms left behind glimmer in the first light offerings for spirits, and a reminder that every day begins anew. Solitude returns to the ritual sites, but echoes of laughter, song and remembrance linger in the gentle morning breeze. Not all rituals occur under the open sky. Some take place in hidden grottos by the sea, where only the bravest venture. Here, special ceremonies ask for safe passage through storms or plentiful catches from the deep. Saltwater pools shimmer with moonlight, reflecting hope sent out across the restless waves. The ceremonies may end, but the islanders' trust in the unseen endures, anchoring their lives to sea and sky. As this chapter closes, imagine the island once more at peace, its secrets guarded by sand, stone and sea. The rituals of shifting sands leave behind a sense of awe of moments suspended between time, memory and mystery. The bond between culture, spirits and water runs deep, ensuring every generation carries forward reverence for the island's eternal spirit. The story of the sacred gatherings endures, as enduring as the tides themselves. Chapter 6. Guardians of the Horizon. Along the ragged cliff edges where land meets endless sea, ancient sentinels stood watch. Stone towers lifted their gaze to the horizon, patiently guarding against storms and distant sails alike. The people who built them understood that survival required more than strength. It demanded foresight. Every lookout post, each hidden beacon, was a testament to the resourcefulness woven deeply into the fabric of island life. Beneath the cool shade of tangled forest, concealed pathways led to covert lookout stations. Islanders moved silently among the mossy stones, keen-eyed and vigilant to the rhythm of tides and winds. Facing perils both natural and human, the empires watched for cloud formations shifting too fast, or shadows gliding across distant waters. The quiet tension of these moments defined an existence shaped by uncertainty, where every warning could mean the difference between disaster and safety. Along the highest ridges, guardians honed ingenious early warning systems. Shell horns echoed across valleys, low and mournful, their sound a signal for communities nestled far below to ready themselves. Signal fires flickered at dusk, mirroring the setting sun and blending with twilighten. Ancient code deciphered only by locals. In these moments, the islanders' shared wisdom shone brightest, binding their fates together under watchful stars. The ocean brought both bounty and threat. Island sentinels learned to read the subtle signs, a sudden hush in seabird calls, an unexpected shift in wind, or a dark shape lurking just over the waves. Time and tradition taught them to trust their instincts, every warning passed down from generation to generation. The horizon became a living boundary, a line between known safety and the mysteries that lurked beyond. Not all dangers announced themselves with sails or storms. Sometimes threats crept in silence, cloaked by darkness or guile. Islanders built labyrinths of false trails and dummy fires, outwitting would-be invaders before they even set foot on shore. This subtle art of deception, refined by centuries of necessity, protected communities while instilling an unspoken sense of unity among those who kept the watch. The wisdom of the elders shaped every defensive act. Ancient councils gathered at dawn, pooling observations and stories to sense patterns in nature and history. With calm voices, they balanced caution against panic, assigning scouts to the cliffs or dispatching runners through secret forest trails. Their collective memory, meticulously preserved through songs and stories, charted the boundaries of safety and risk. Even in the quiet, every day bore the possibility of change. Watchers marked the movements of unfamiliar ships and catalogued rare storms sweeping in from foreign seas. Children learned to decipher the language of warning bells and the flicker of torchlight, growing up in the shadow of vigilance. These lessons transformed caution into communal strength, threaded silently through daily life. At night, starlit silence blanketed the island, pierced only by the distant beats of sentry drums. Each rhythmic signal travelled from outpost to outpost, relaying status and suspicion alike. For those entrusted with this duty, the horizon was more than a boundary. It was a promise they kept for their people. The act of watching became a ritual, uniting generations across time and tide. Within the tapestry of island life, defence and celebration often intertwined. Festivals marked important victories over invaders or commemorated storms survived. At these gatherings, elders told stories of close calls and clever ruses, passing wisdom through laughter and song. The knowledge behind the islanders' defences was never shrouded in fear, but shared openly, creating a legacy of resilience that endured through ages. Guardianship was rarely loud, but always enduring. Over centuries, layered strategy-hidden pathways, clever signals, and united vigilance became part of each island empire's soul. These were societies shaped not just by their boundaries, but by the ingenuity and trust that held them together. With every new dawn, the horizon beckoned, and so, quietly and steadfastly, the Guardians stood watch, determined to greet whatever might come from beyond the waves. Chapter 7. Shadows on the Water Encounters and Invasions. The air grows heavy with anticipation. Distant sails appear on the horizon, bringing strangers whose languages and customs are unfamiliar. Island societies, once isolated, now watch their shores with caution. The arrival of explorers and traders stirs a silent tension. Every meeting as a delicate dance hope mingles with apprehension, setting the stage for stories of endurance, adaptation. The newcomers come bearing gifts and demands alike. Beads shine in outstretched hands, while the glint of steel hints at hidden threats. The leaders of the island gather beneath the ancient trees, speaking in hushed voices about change. Relationships form across rough waves, sometimes as partnerships, sometimes as uneasy truces. Each negotiation lingers in memory, the balance between trust and caution colouring every decision made by those determined to preserve their way of life. The islanders' resilience is quietly tested. They adapt as old rituals blend with foreign beliefs, weaving together new customs with threads from the past. Yet, not all changes are welcome. Whispers of unfamiliar diseases sweep through villages, their origins unclear, but their effects deeply felt. Faced with invisible threats, healers and elders search through ancestral wisdom, hoping their remedies can protect the fragile lifelines of their people, while uncertainty. Beneath the canopy, memories are exchanged as stories. Elders recall the first canoes that came from beyond the horizon, either friend nor foe, but something in between. Children listen, wide-eyed, learning the importance of vigilance. Some visitors stay and learn the rhythms of these islands, while others disrupt, seeking riches and control. The slow tide of encounter shaped the character of the islanders, who guard their traditions even as the outside world presses ever closer. Sometimes, invasions are not battles, but slow encroachments. Foreign crops appearing in village gardens, foreign words slipping into lullabies. The boundaries between old and new blur gently but relentlessly. On moonlit nights, the elders meet by the shore, voices low and solemn, deciding which customs must endure and which may fade. It is a constant negotiation with history. Even amidst change, the tension sharpens when conquerors arrive, intent not on trade, but on domination. Fortresses rise on coastal hills and flags unfamiliar to the islanders flutter above old sacred grounds. Every day becomes a test of patience and survival. Families hide records and heirlooms, secrets passed down in quiet, coded tales. Yet beneath the pressure, the spirit of the people does not fracture. Instead, their will to survive becomes quietly ironclad. Resistance takes many forms. Sometimes a subtle refusal to let go of an ancient dance. Sometimes a carefully timed act of defiance. The conquerors try to rename lands and gods, but the original names persist like roots wrapping deep into volcanic earth. Songs growing more quietly rebellious are sung beneath the cover of rain. These moments, invisible to outsiders, are acts of preservation. In silence, the stories endure, ready to be spoken aloud when the world. Islanders find quiet strength when tested by adversity. The ocean, once a barrier, becomes a secret path. Knowledge of the tides and reefs guards the people, aiding in both evasion and surprise resistance. When forced to retreat, communities disappear into the forests or onto hidden islets, living lightly off the land. Even as their world is shaped by the arrival of outsiders, the islanders draw power from their unity and the deep memories held by sea and stone. With every intrusion, new legends are born. They tell of shape-shifting strangers and guardians who shield the vulnerable. Children are named for virtues held dear: patience, wisdom, courageous reminders that resilience must be taught with every new sunrise. Through ritual, art and song, the community marks the passage of both loss and recovery. Each generation becomes a bridge, carrying forward what must never be forgotten, no matter how turbulent the tides of history become. As the shadows lengthen and the new world presses in, the islanders stand between memory and survival. Some of their ways will change, some will vanish, yet their identity endures. Long after invaders move on, stories remain etched into carved stones and whispered on salty winds. The legacy of these encounters is not only one of disruption, but of strength and adaptation. The islands, scarred and weathered, are still very much alive, holding history's secrets in their quiet embrace. Chapter 8. Echoes in Stone and Song. Across forgotten shores and beneath tangled green canopies, the remnants of ancient island empires still linger. Sometimes these echoes emerge in the silent dignity of weathered stones, and other times within melodies carried by the wind. In this reflective journey, we explore how the guardians of Memoritha monuments and songs become bridges between a distant past and our present moment, inviting us to listen closely. The story of these lost civilizations is written not only in crumbling walls or toppled statues, but also in fleeting whispers and soft lullabies. Petroglyphs etched by unknown hands speak a silent language across centuries. Their meanings may elude us, but their presence reminds us that history is far from silent. Like sunlit fragments in a tide pool, each relic and tradition stands as evidence of lives once lived, myths once lived, myths once believed, myths once believed. Stone temples rise stubbornly from moss and vines, their purpose half remembered, yet defiant against time's erasing hand. These ruins once echoed with footsteps and voices, but now their quiet grandeur calls for reverence. To walk among them is to step into another rhythm, to feel the heartbeat of people who shaped the land. Even as centuries pass, their handiwork holds stories etched into every scarred pillar and lichen-streaked wall. Not all remnants are crafted in stone. Some are spun in the warm glow of expectation, a mother humming a cradle song, or old fishermen chanting legends as they mend their nets by moonlight. These oral traditions survive where monuments erode. Passed from one voice to another, their words drift across time, carrying the laughter, pain, and dreams of vanished generations. The intangible endures even as physical traces fade from view. Petroglyphs, intricate and enigmatic, cover cliffs and cavern walls. Carved with patient hands, their swirling shapes invite guessing, games where they map spells, records of triumph or grief. While modern eyes search for meaning, local traditions often supply their own interpretations, weaving mythical tales around the ancient designs. These carvings bind present and past in a shared circle of imagination and belief, leaving mysteries open to all who pause to notice. Sometimes the only living echoes are the legends, carefully tended like precious embers in the dark. Elders recount stories of gods, voyagers, or heroes who tamed wild seas with courage and wit. These tales blur the line between fact and fable. Yet through them, the wisdom and wonder of the empires endure. Listeners are welcomed into secret worlds, learning lessons wrapped in metaphor and wonder stories shaped by both landscape and longing. As twilight falls, the hush between ruins is filled with song. Simple melodies ripple through the trees, carrying memories of festivals and farewells. Even when a language is lost, its rhythm sometimes outlives its words, echoing through new tongues and generations. Music becomes a thread uniting past and present, hinting to anyone who listens that beneath every silence, history continues to hum softly, always waiting to be heard. Statues and stone markers, windswept and solitary, stand as silent witnesses. Some stare seaward, as if searching for forgotten fleets or kin. Over centuries, their faces may fade, but their presence sparks curiosity. What did these figures mean to those who carved them? Were they protectors, storytellers, or guides for returning sailors? Each monument is an open question, posed tenderly by ancestors, waiting for each generation to discover its own answer. In every echo heather, whispered in a lullaby, or written in forgotten runes there, is an invitation. Beneath the layers of moss, or within the turns of an old melody, lies a message. These worlds are not truly lost. Those who wander slowly, letting wonder be their guide, catch glimpses of the empires that once shaped misty islands and restless waves. Tradition and stonework together, hiding and revealing secrets in equal measure. As we draw near the end of our journey, remember that the legacy of these island empires remains hidden in plain sight. In each legend retold, in every stone weathered by time and wind, survival is an act of quiet persistence. For those willing to listen, with both ears and spirit, the voices of the past are never truly gone. The story goes on, whispered through echoes in stone and song, shaped by all who remember and wonder. Chapter 9. The Veil of Modernity. In this chapter, we find ourselves at the edge of an ever-changing world, where the foundations of village communities meet the relentless pace of modern life. Here, the clash between ancient traditions and the new is not subtle. It presses in on daily existence, shaping lives and memories. The veil of modernity is both alluring and unsettling, signalling both endings and unexpected beginnings. As highways carve their paths across once untouched soil, villages are drawn into the rhythm of cities. It begins with distant headlights winding between coconut groves, the evening quiet broken by the hum of motorcycles. Modernity is not a faceless force, but one with fingers that reach into homes and rituals, inviting change and conversation. The sights and sounds of progress mingle with the echoes of the past, each shaping the other. Within these villages, ancient dances continue beneath electric lights, their rhythms threading through the heartbeat of daily life. Children watch elders move, uncertain if these steps belong to them or the world outside. The music that once echoed along sandy paths now finds itself layered with the sounds of distant radios. Tradition adapts, sometimes quietly fading, sometimes finding a new voice amid the noise of present-day existence. Progress promises comfort, better roads, swift communication, connections that stretch wider than the ocean. Yet with each new convenience, a piece of the old world slips quietly away. Stone tools are placed on museum shelves. Village squares, where stories and songs once filled the air, now grow silent under the relentless announcement of passing cars. The sacrifices of progress are as real as its gifts, felt in small and lingering ways. Elders speak softly of things once taken for granted, the taste of fresh-caught fish cooked over fire, the call of drum beats at dusk, the meaning held in woven patterns and secret handshakes. Some memories flutter near the surface, woven into evening gatherings and community rituals. Others remain dormant, waiting for a question or song to stir them back to life. The distance between yesterday and today grows, yet never completely disappears. Not every tradition vanishes when confronted by modernity. Some are transformed, wrapped in new meaning and purpose. Festivals now incorporate unfamiliar music and dress, merging the old and new in ways that surprise even those who remember what came before. Children learn these fused ceremonies, their eyes reflecting curiosity and longing, as they try to understand their inheritance in the midst of unprecedented change. The delicate balance between preservation and innovation is a dance in itself. It is found in hands that carve wood in the shape of ancestors, then fix appliances with the same careful touch. It is the grandmother teaching her grandchild both ancient songs and the basics of digital communication. This quiet negotiation is never complete, always reworked and reimagined, so that the tapestry of island life remains, if only in shifting patterns. Reflections on what is lost and what endures become central to life under the veil of modernity. In moments of celebration, old chants rise up unexpectedly, reminding all of a shared heritage. In times of transition, the absence of familiar customs is deeply felt. These islands live with a constant sense of change, each tide washing away something, even as it carries new promise to shore. The question of what remains defines the present. For those living between worlds, the past is never just a memory, and progress is never just a future. Each day invites a reckoning with identity, what to hold, what to let go, and what to reshape for generations yet to come. These are choices made in kitchens, on school steps, and at the water's edge. Each choice is both deeply personal and collectively shared, threading through the soul of the community. In the final contemplation of this chapter, the narrator asks, what is truly lost when a culture changes, and what quietly survives, adapting and growing in unexpected ways? The modern world offers both challenge and opportunity, yet the spirit of the islands endures in gestures, memories, and dreams. Amidst noise and hurry, the echo of ancient empires lingers, asking all who listen to pause, reflect, and remember. Chapter 10. The Endless Horizon. As our journey draws to a gentle close, let us settle into the quiet that follows adventure. The islands we have crossed fade beyond sight, yet their stories linger like soft echoes over the water. Tonight, we invite you to slow your breath and gaze outward, letting your mind drift beyond what is known, opening to new mysteries that stir at the edge of every horizon. These forgotten island empires did not leave grand monuments or written records in the sand, but their presence endures. Listen closely. The swell of the sea and the whisper of distant winds speak for them. Their legacy is felt in traditions carried between tides, in quiet harbours, and in the gentle hands of those who remember. Through open curiosity, we can sense their hidden spirit even now. Sometimes the greatest discoveries are those that cannot be mapped or measured. The unseen gestures of friendship across the water, the soft-spoken agreements sealed long ago between islanders, these are treasures of memory and connection. Along each shoreline waits a new beginning, an invitation to listen, to wonder, and to imagine what may have once been, just out of reach but never lost. Let your thoughts wander with the tides and night breezes. As you close your eyes, picture the starlit journeys these seafarers made, their sails blending with clouds and their hopes guided by constellations. The hidden routes they carved and the stories shared by lantern light are still there, waiting for those who are patient enough to seek them beneath gentle waves and drifting shadows. Every sea holds secrets, and every island is a world unto itself. There are legacies that remain unspoken, shaping the dreams of those who pass quietly over salt and sand. To remember these empires is to acknowledge that history is more than what is taught. It's felt in the heartbeats of quiet, watchful places, and in every moment of discovery we allow ourselves under an endless sky. In the hush of this chapter, feel the peaceful weight of what endures. The world's remote corners hold marvels waiting for open hearts and still minds. It is not always the conquerors or the grandest cities that leave the deepest mark. Sometimes it is the song of oars, the pattern of woven mats, the patient waiting for dawn that whispers through the ages, shaping lives in ways invisible yet profound. As you listen, imagine the gentle hush at dawn, the flicker of torchlight reflected on calm water. Think of villagers gathering beneath ancient trees, passing down tales both bold and tender. Let these images drift through your mind, like lanterns floating across the sea holding hopes, fears and dreams that belong not just to the past, but to the present moment as well. All maps eventually end, their lines fading into blue and white uncertainty. But wonder needs no boundaries. As explorers of both world and story, we discover so much more when we look beyond what's already known. Let each question you carry be a lantern, and every answer a gentle compass pointing toward new mysteries just beyond the reach of daylight. With gratitude for the quiet keepers of memory, let us carry this curiosity forward. These island empires lost to time but awake in spirit invite us to listen closely at the world's edges. As your eyes grow heavy, may their stories settle softly around you, reminding you that every horizon holds another adventure, waiting for those ready to look a little farther and dream a little deeper. Thank you for joining this journey across forgotten seas and silent shores. The wonder of discovery lies not only in what we find, but in the quiet patience it inspires. Let peace accompany you into restful sleep, knowing that stories endure, hidden in the rhythm of tides, and in every calm breath you take beneath the endless star-strewn horizon.